Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. In this little video, it's going to be a long one today with all the activity that occurred yesterday and overnight. There is no advice or recommendation intended whatsoever. It is for educational purposes only. So let's get started. Apple sell-off yesterday, about 5% lower. But still above the support area here at 221.70, 219.70. In this region here, we have some fairly strong support coming back from previous support bounce levels. It closed just more or less on the 200 moving average. However, the RSI closed below 40 threshold is now in a negative sentiment, and it could drop lower in the coming days. Let's have a look at the Nvidia that also was hit yesterday by about the 5% sell-off. It already took out the support on 113.25 a few days ago or last week. Dropped lower yesterday, could drop lower in the coming days to support around 102 here. Negative sentiment on the RSI, and there is still risk below 100, maybe even down to around the 95 level. Tesla got really hammered yesterday, about more than 15% lower. Went straight through the 239 support in this gap area here back from October last year. And I think we could see it maybe testing the 214 support level. It is sideways trading here we saw back in October last year. Could be tested possibly during today's trading earlier today. Remember, there's the time zone, not time zone has changed, but they changed to daylight savings time, so the market opens opens an hour earlier than normal until we here in Europe are changing hours. Negative sentiment, no divergence, indicating lower levels in the coming days and weeks, but of course we could see some corrections coming in eventually. But for now, looks very heavy. And just very quickly look at the weekly. We can see we lost about half of the market value or the price since December. So in about 3 months, Tesla lost more than 50%. On the broad indices, we saw S&P 500 closing well below supports, went straight through it actually. Support around 5,670, 5,650, and closed just above 5,600. There's no strong support until around 5,400, but I don't think we will see it selling off to that level in just a few days. But again, brace yourself. These crazy days, something could happen. Here pre-market, we are still unchanged, so it doesn't seem like there's some relief rally. We are pointing lower. We can see here on the weekly, also trading around the 55 weekly moving average. RSI testing the 40 threshold, so that would be key here. The next a few days will it close above or below, but daily it actually points to lower levels. Of course, if it start moving back above 5,670, we could see a little bit of relief or a rally or a bounce to possibly close to the 5,800, but it's not really in the cards. Nasdaq 100 almost 4% down, went straight through the support. It wasn't just a strong support anyway, and there's no support until around 19,000, 18,900 level, and we have a little bit of support in this region here. Negative sentiment on the RSI. No divergence. Actually, at the moment on weekly RSI, the strength indicator is below 40, but there's still a few days left of this week, so it could bounce a little bit. But again, no strong support until around 18,400. But I think we will see some bounce just before then. The Dow Jones index wasn't hit that hard, 2% down. Closed just above 1,877. Where there's some support, but it dipped almost down to the 41,563, some support here, but it closed just around the 200 moving average, still holding on a little bit, but if it closes below 41,560, well, then it could be really hard hit too. European indices and EuroStoxx50 also got beaten yesterday, but not as much as the US ones. But it's closed still above the support here at 5,363. And here pre-market, as we can see, we up a little bit, bouncing here on the futures CFD. And bouncing about 0.5%, so maybe we could have a little bit of buying the dips this morning here. DAX also it tested the lower rising trend line here, still in a top and reversal like pattern, and there was divergence on the RSI indicating that we should see a correction. Here pre-market we are up 0.6%. Let's just very quickly have a look at that. We'll see we're bouncing a little bit, so still holding on, and we can also draw a trend line here at just a short trend line. We can see how it actually stayed above this trend line here. We can adjust it a little bit, but it is above this trend line. So I think maybe we'll have a positive day, at least to begin with. If it takes out the DAX takes out the rising trend line, support at 22,148 could be tested. Euro dollar pushing higher this morning in Asian session, and seems to be continuing in European session. 109.35 could be tested here fairly shortly. We have some resistance, possibly also taken out, but let's see where it ends today. Then I think we could see it being toppish a little bit. The RSI indicating we are stretched a little bit, but it is fairly strong though. We are in sterling dollar cable, potential to 130.5 area. But it is taking a little bit of breather, still above 128 support. Euro sterling pushing higher again this morning towards the 84.60-65 resistance, and I think it could be reached maybe during this session or tomorrow. And then let's see if it will be rejected. But what is key also, looking at the weekly, it could test the upper falling trend line right there. We are still in this massive bearish trend. On dollar yen, it's below 147.20 support, testing or trading around this falling trend line here. It's not the strongest one anyway. There's no support until around 144.80. Could dip to that, but it's not being sold off as heavy as I would or someone might expect. But still, we are below the key support here at 148.65. So it has turned bearish also on medium term with the lower levels in the cards. On the euro yen, on the other hand, just dancing sideways. It needs to get back above 161.30, or it has to go back below 158.80 for a direction, either resuming downtrend, and there is negative sentiment on the RSI indicating it could just do that. Otherwise, it needs to take out 161.830, and RSI needs to close above 60 threshold for a bullish trend. The Aussie yen testing previous low. Let's remove this one. Testing the support here at 91.80. Bouncing from it at the moment. If it takes out, well, then we're looking at 90 level, 19.25. But it could bounce here a little bit. Sterling yen. Well, it's really no direction. Is it forming a triangle-like pattern or ascending triangle-like pattern? If it takes out, and I will actually add that, it could be a guideline for you. So, there we are, 188.14, so 188.10. If it takes out, that bearish trend is resuming. Aussie dollar, well, still in this sideways correction mode here. It's been trading here between 64 and just around 62. It needs to take out at least 63 and 65 here, the peak here from a few days ago, and the 786 retracement and the 100 moving average, which is declining. So it's giving it's a hard time, and we haven't closed above the cloud area either. Excuse me. Then so we are it is showing bearish direction and also negative sentiment on the R side, close below 40 there. It didn't get back above 60 threshold. It needs to get back above 60 threshold, and it needs to get back above 63, 65 at least to establish a bullish trend. Otherwise, I think we'll test these lows here around 62 or 61 and 90. Dollar Canada, that has been very volatile of late, keeps bouncing here, and I think we'll see it push up to the 145.80. If it takes out 145.85, then I think we'll see it push up to previous peaks around 147, 148. Sterling Canada is still pushing higher, spiking higher, but it is quite stressed. You can see the RSI is not really following all the way up, so I think we should have a top and reversal in place, but still trust the trend. And for now, as long as we stay above 183.75, the trend is bullish, but it is a little bit stressed. I wouldn't take a long position at these levels. Swiss franc and the Euro Swiss spiked below support 95.15 yesterday, but closed well above and seems to be resuming uptrend. RSI positive sentiment also indicating likely higher levels, so I think we'll see a push higher and also taking out at the 96.36 there. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what it's doing. It's trying to get into a bullish trend. It already established higher low, high. If it closes above the cloud, if it closes above 96, and if RSI closes above 60 threshold on the week, well, then we are in a bullish trend, also medium term, but for now, short term, we are in a bullish trend. Dollar Swiss, dancing around the support area here, where we have some strong support interests around 87.80, 87.65. If it takes out the lows from yesterday at 87.58, then I think we'll see a test of the 87.33. Minor support is not the strongest support. We have a little bit stronger support down here, and let's just add that one there at 86.15, but that's a bit of a way to go, really. So it will require really a sell-off. But we are in a negative sentiment, indicating lower levels. The dollar index, here we are, pushing lower at the moment, likely to test the support at 103.28 shortly. If it takes out that, well, then it's probably dipping below 103. Could it get down to 102 area, where we have a little bit of a support also, but it's not the strong support, but nevertheless, we could see it down to that, but that will also require really euro dollar to go ballistic, and it is pushing towards the 109.35, which we talked about earlier. Amazingly, gold is still holding on a bit. Let's just zoom in here. It's still holding on a bit, but it closed and dipped below and closed the minor support here at 28.91, 28.90. Now getting back above, but it really needs to get back above 28.30 to resume uptrend. This was not the strong support. I did when I saw this yesterday, I did expected that to at least test the 61.8 retracement, possibly also 28.53. If it takes out 28.32, then we have a new situation with a bearish trend. But again, look, keep an eye on 28.30. Silver also got hit a little bit yesterday, but it didn't get that much lower. And let's add a Fibonacci to that, and I think I suggest you do the same, so we can see it dipped to 50% of this bullish move here. If it takes out the lows this morning, well, then it's probably looking at 31.25 down here at the 786 retracement. If it takes out the little peak there at the 32.76, then expect it to push above 33.50. The copper future dipped to the 61.8 retracement at 463.25. Could bounce here, and I still believe it will go higher in the medium term, but now I think we'll be caught a little bit sideways range trading in this range here below 488 and 450. Negative sentiment on the positive sentiment on the RSI, but divergence indicating stretched a little bit. But again, the trend is your friend, and trust the trends. So if it stays above 462.60, then I think we could bounce. If it takes out the lows today, then we are probably looking at areas here at 457, 450. Crude oil and WTI crude oil seems to find some a little bit of support here at current levels, or at around just above $65. But if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see, well, we are in a bearish trend, potentially down to 64, maybe even below 62, but could bounce a little bit if it gets back above 68 and a quarter, then the bounce could be even bigger. And it seems like it's found some support here at 65.20 area. So let's see if it can actually get a little bit higher than that. I'm not so sure. Anyway, but adding Fibonacci to the entire downtrend, well, then we're looking at a 71 level here at 32, and it's not really in the cards. But again, volatility is big. So if it takes out 68 and a quarter, then I think we could push up to that level. The Brent crude oil, you can see also bearish trend here, lower lows, with potential down to 64, 65. For now, it needs to take out the little, let's just give you a better picture here, 68.34 from last week. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels in the region of 64, 65. Resistance up here at 72. On the Dutch gas, or the European gas, TTF keeps bouncing a bit, has taken it back 50% of this last leg down there. I think we'll see it trading at the 61.8 at 43, maybe up to 786 at just below 45, but then I think that would be a little bit of a stretch. Henry Hub gas, US nat gas, massive shooting star, as we call it, just shot up there and then collapsed and closed more or less at the same price as it opened. And that could be a little bit of a toppish signal, but I think we'll still be dancing around the 4.5 level here for this on the short term. But that was not really good for the for bulls. It touched the 490, and I think it will slide lower in the coming days and weeks. The US 10-year Treasury yields, oh, sorry about that, let's got rejected here at the 38.2 retracement, and it could be testing the previous lows here at 410 and the 412 support. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 4%. On the two-year, also opened lower today. If it takes out 384, well, then there's not really much a strong support until down here around at 370. And let's just add that one where you can see what I do. I take this little spike up there. So in this region, there's not much support until around 366, really, 365, and it could drop to that if it takes out 384. On the European yields, we have the Euro 10-year that has bounced this morning here. If it takes out the top of yesterday's candle, which is at 288, it is likely to resume uptrend, because then it's taking out this bearish move here. The UK 10 dancing sideways around the 465, needs to take out 455, or it needs to take out to the upside the 480 peak for a bullish move. Moving on to cryptos, and the Bitcoin dipped below 77,700 and the 786 retracement this morning. I think it will bounce here the next few days. We actually do now have divergence on the RSI. As we can see, we saw lower levels here than here, but RSI didn't really support that. So I think we could bounce here the next few days. If it can get back above the 500, maybe there's room up to 90,000, but maybe that's a bit of a stretch. We are still in a downtrend. On the Ethereum Ethereum in a free fall, doesn't really have any support. As we can see, we're moving back really far back here. We are back here in the range around, and let's just take this way, and we have a bit of support here at the 17.55 that it seems to be bouncing off at least short term, and could bounce back above 20,000, maybe up to 2200. All right, that's all for today. It's a long one, but brace yourself. It is volatile days, so keep your stops tight and stick to your trading plan. All right, that's all for today. Talk to you again later.